Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. This is the first in our astrology studies, or maybe learn astrology series and playlist. I haven't decided what to call it yet. An introduction, a brief look at what is astrology, and what I feel are the 5 things to begin studying in order to learn astrology. In this series, I will be covering both Vedic astrology and Western astrology. Some of the videos, definitely early on, both will be included in the same video because there's a lot of overlap, like the same 12 signs of the zodiac, most of the same planets, the houses are the same for the most part, etc. And then as we move along, then I'll make some separate videos for Vedic astrology and some for Western astrology. If you don't know the difference between those two, I do have a very old video that I made called Vedic astrology versus Western astrology. And then more recently, I made a video looking at the zodiacs, the tropical sidereal, as well as the constellational zodiac. I will link those below in the description box and pin it to the top of the comments so you can go check those out to get a brief overview of what those are and the differences. That will be really helpful. So I don't want to repeat that since I already have those videos there. And they're both fairly short. I think they're both not more than 10 minutes long, if that. So let's look at the question, what is astrology? So we have astronomy, right? Astronomy is the study of the planets and the stars, the asteroids, comets, etc. What's going on out there out there in space. It's the scientific study of everything. It measures things, it calculates things, etc., right? So we have the astronomy, what we can scientifically observe up in the sky, up in the heavens. Then we have astrology. And astrology is taking a look at what's going on in the astronomy and seeing how it might affect our lives, how it might influence our lives. Does it influence our lives? Are they signs and messages from God, the universe, and so on? So astrology is not exactly the astronomy. And for those who are familiar with Vedic, even though Vedic is a sidereal zodiac, which is based on the actual astronomy of this moment, every moment in time, it's still astrology. So it separates from the astronomy. I see astrology. So what do I see astrology as? I see astrology, or we'll say an example, your natal chart, a birth chart, or any chart, is a map for that moment in time. A map of guidance, a map of possibly predicting things, or I've been reading Ptolemy's Tetrabiblos, so they translate it all as prognostications, for prognostications. So looking at the birth chart or the natal chart, and I'll interchange those terms. It means the same thing. Natal means birth. A birth chart I see as a map, a road map, or you can even say a treasure map to guide us in our lives. And like a road map, let's say we're here and we want to go here. We may go in a straight line, do this on camera, right? Or we may go in all different directions, but there's still this destination. And so that brings up the question, is everything predetermined? And maybe that's a separate video. But for now, I'll say we have some courses, some types of experiences that we are on the soul level have decided to experience in a given lifetime. Exactly how that happens must take into account our free will and the choices we make. So sometimes it's like we're destined to get here and have this type of experience. I don't think all the details are in stone, right? Our free will can shift that. But how we get there, yeah, we have a lot of choices unless there's other destination points along the way. So I see astrology as guidance, as our maps that our souls chose. If we're talking specifically natal and birth chart, and we chose to be born at a certain time, in a certain place, amongst certain circumstances. So you could say you chose your family, but it's not like you chose this name of this person, that person, but you chose this type of experience and the time and location. So you would have the map that you need for this lifetime, for your soul's growth, for your soul's experiences, for your soul to learn. That's simply summarizing how I see astrology. Now, do the planets themselves impact our lives? That's the big question that a lot of astrologers debate upon. There is subtle energy that comes from it. And, we look at transits and their influence in our lives. So, yes, there's very, very, very subtle energy that comes from it. But the planets don't control our lives. To me, it's more about perspective on it. I see, for example, looking at transits, say on my natal chart or like a new moon reading or something, as what we can take advantage of to bring about change or to develop something, or maybe realize we're on the wrong track with something and we need to make some changes. I see it, yeah, as, I guess in that sense, guidance. Opportunities for us to kind of step out of our heads and see, you could say, the bigger picture, see what the universe, God, our souls, our higher selves are trying to guide us, where they're trying to steer us on that roadmap. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Add questions in the comments below if that doesn't make sense. But a lot of people at different points, some people see astrology as purely predictive. And that's very much how it was developed. Western and Vedic astrology, very much Vedic astrology, very, very, very highly designed to be super duper predictive. So technical, super duper, but it can down to the hour of things. I don't feel that's beneficial. Who wants to know every detail? I always say the play-by-play of every moment of your life. That sort of takes out free will. I feel it's a balance between like experiences or karma we're destined to experience, and the free will we bring in, the choices we bring in, the growth we learn along the way that can sort of shift that destiny. I don't see it, again, as set in stone, fated. Maybe some things, a few things. We may not know what those things are. Yeah, but I don't, for me, I don't believe in cutting out our free will. And though in readings I do, things come out that are predictive. Personally, as an astrologer, I don't go into a reading like, oh, I'm going to predict everything. It's just like, oh, let's see what's here. Let's see what guidance comes up. Let's see, the person's personality. Let's see, the types of careers that they're likely to go into. And usually they do. I think every time, always. But it's a type. It's not like, so for example, like you look at a birth chart and let's say the 10th house is Cancer, ruled by the moon, a very nurturing sign. You could say, well, this person, their career is in some sort of nurturing emotional field. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to be a nurse or a doctor. It's going to be something in that realm, right? So it's with astrology, you can get, a general idea, even more than general, right? But a birth chart doesn't say, well, you're going to be this and that and only do this and not do that. It's not quite so, again, etched in stone, cut and dry. There is some malleability. I guess that's the word. There's malleability in our lives, and our birth charts, our natal charts, or a chart for a moment in time is there to give us guidance in what directions are more beneficial or less beneficial. But sometimes those less beneficial routes are ones we need to go on to learn some karmic lessons, to alter the course of our lives, to get to that destination point or a new one in some way. I hope this is making sense. I feel it's so abstract right now. Okay, so yeah, astrology. Astrology is based upon and works with the movement of the planets from astronomy, but it's not exactly the same. And then, of course, there's different systems. So Western astrology, just a brief thing here because I have my other video, is a tropical system. And the tropics means it's based on the seasons, the solstices and equinoxes, determining the placement of the signs and how things lay out. Vedic astrology uses the actual placement of the planets in the sky at every given moment. Western astrology very much works with the elements, as well as hot, cold, dry, and moist energy of the planets. But if you work with the four elements, which I'll talk about in a minute, you kind of get a gist of that as well. Vedic astrology, that's there, but it's not as emphasized. Now, I brought that up because I want to introduce like the 5 things I feel are important to learn when you begin studying astrology. Those are the 12 houses, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the planets, Western astrology, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, as well as some asteroids, Sun and Moon. Vedic astrology traditionally does not include Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto because they weren't seen with the naked eye. They weren't known, so they weren't part of the system when it developed, though some modern astrologers use it. And generally doesn't include asteroids, but again, some modern astrologers will include that. So houses, signs, planets, numbers, simple numerology of 1 through 9 is important to know, as well as the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water. So I'm going to, in subsequent videos, go through those 5 things, the 5 things sort of give you the not even the foundation, the ground for the foundation to be built to study astrology. Yes, so I think that's all I wanted to introduce here. I haven't decided which I'll start with. Probably the typical, the planets or the houses and so on. Because once you have that understanding down, then everything else just builds upon it. That's in a lot of reading charts is a combination of that. This planet in this house, in this sign, the house numbers, this is where the numerology comes in, is important. The sign number can be an influence there. Are these all in earth elements or water and fire and those type of things. So once you get a foundation on that, you build upon it and you build upon it. So you get to a point where those are like automatic piece of cake, and then you can look at most charts and read them. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I feel this is a very rambly introduction. Any questions? If that was confusing, let me know below. Ask a clarifying question. I'll see you guys back here soon.